Picture this: a howling blizzard dumping 3 feet of snow by the hour, your front walk a solid sheet of ice, and your wife's oxygen tank beeping for help. Then your HOA president shows up in sub-zero winds demanding you shut off your heated walkway or face arrest. But this isn't just about snowmelt cables. It's the opening move in a conspiracy that nearly killed your neighbors, poisoned your community, and ended with federal agents swarming your HOA board meeting. I'm Garrett Finch, retired water engineer, and what started as a fight to keep my wife safe turned into the biggest environmental crime case in Willowbrook's history. If you love explosive true stories of David versus suburban Goliath, hit like and subscribe for more. 3 p.m., the storm hit full force. My phone buzzed with an emergency alert: 3 feet of snow expected by midnight. 5 minutes later, Veronica Sterling, HOA president, real estate agent, and self-appointed property police, was pounding on my door, her stilettos clicking on ice. "Turn off that heated walkway this instant or I'm calling the cops," she snarled, breath visible in the freezing air. Behind me, my wife Rosalind lay on the couch, her oxygen tank alarm sounding in warning pulses. She couldn't risk another slip on our ice-coated steps. "This is a medical necessity," I replied, placing my hand on the document-laden table. "It's fully permitted, inspected, and keeps her alive." "Your wife's condition doesn't override community rules," Veronica shot back, her manicured nails wrapping the doorframe like gavel strikes. "We'll fine you if you don't comply in 4 days." That moment shattered my patience. I'd moved to Willowbrook Estates 3 years earlier so Rosalind's worsening COPD could breathe easy in single-story living and fresh air. But from day one, Veronica's clipboard greeted us with that fake predator smile. "Welcome to Willowbrook," she declared when we arrived, "where even medical equipment requires HOA approval." She'd eyed our truck full of oxygen supplies as if it were a meth lab. Our previous neighborhood's ice storm nearly killed Rosalind when she fell on our driveway. I spent $8,000 installing a radiant heat cable system under the concrete, approved by county and fire authorities, inspected by the electricians' union. 2 winters of flawless service followed, until Veronica decided to wield the bylaws like a sword. Over the next 2 years, she coerced Mrs. Bianca into removing her wheelchair ramp, hit the Pattersons with fines for their visible therapy gear, and levied a $2,400 penalty against 78-year-old Mr. Kowalski for feeding backyard finches. I read it all in the neighborhood newsletter, coffee growing cold in my hand. That small-town tyranny stank of selective enforcement. But the crowning arrogance came when she targeted my walkway. At an emergency architectural review, she declared it an unauthorized aesthetic modification. I unloaded stack after stack of permits across the conference table. "County approval doesn't override HOA rules," she said, smirking. "There's nothing about heated floors in our charter." Then she amended the bylaws 3 times in 6 months, always after someone vulnerable applied for a permit. Here's what she didn't know. After 35 years working with municipal water systems, I had instincts. Willowbrook's water pressure fluctuated by street. Some blocks used suspiciously little water. Then Kowalski's son, a county water department engineer, mentioned usage discrepancies in our desktop HOA gossip. Houses on Sterling Street were devouring far less city water than neighbors, though sprinklers ran during drought bans. Something beneath the surface was feeding them. 3 days before my 4-day deadline, Veronica showed up again, backed by her nephew Derek in a secondhand security jacket. He clumsily photographed my radiant cables while Mom sniffed the warm concrete like perfume. "HOA rules override county permits," Veronica insisted. "Your system gives you unfair advantage." She threatened a lien if I didn't remove it by Friday. That afternoon, I met disability attorney Marlene Vasquez. She laid out the Fair Housing Act's discrimination protections. You can't target elderly or disabled residents selectively. We began building a case: Kowalski's bird feeder fine, Bianca's ramp, Patterson's therapy gear, and now my walkway, all aimed at those least able to fight back. The next morning, Vasquez exposed Veronica's scheme. Her husband Baxter sat on the city planning committee with advanced access to every permit application. Each bylaw amendment emerged within days of specific residents' filings. Veronica wielded insider knowledge to draft rules aimed solely at those projects. Worse, Baxter had greenlit his own family's decorative lighting, outdoor kitchen, and hot tub without HOA review. They exempted themselves while crushing everyone else. That night, Veronica scheduled an emergency HOA meeting for Thursday, just 24 hours before my removal deadline, ignoring the required 72-hour notice. At the community center, under flickering fluorescents, her cronies filled the seats. Wine moms, real estate clients, anyone afraid to say no. She clicked through a PowerPoint. Heated walkways erode property values. Medical exceptions mean legal risk. We must ban them immediately. When the Pattersons asked why she'd rubber-stamped her own illegal hot tub, her face turned scarlet. During the coffee break, I dove into water usage records on my laptop. Lo and behold, Sterling Street burned 40% less water than the rest of Willowbrook day after day. My engineer's radar buzzed. Old agricultural wells, likely never sealed, remained intact beneath the ground. After the meeting, I strolled behind Sterling's block. Every home on Sterling Street had a decorative cast-iron cover, manhole lids over those old well sites. Beneath them lay functional feeding lines, delivering free farm water into their basements, bypassing city meters. Professional grade work. Someone with engineering expertise must have planned it. That evening, I phoned Jim Morrison, my old environmental contact. He groaned on the line. If they're drinking from decommissioned irrigation wells, they're sipping toxic chemical cocktails, nitrates, pesticides, bacterial soup. My stomach turned. Baxter Street, full of families with children and elderly neighbors, had been unknowingly poisoned for years. And every time anyone asked questions, Veronica used the HOA to punish them. Thursday afternoon brought a clunky PI staking out my home and a fleet of rent-a-cops harassing neighbors around their water meters. But Marlene had already arranged state lab testing. On Friday morning, Dr. Sarah Kim's results arrived. Nitrate levels triple the safe limit, banned pesticide residues, lead and copper leaching from corroded pipes. This was criminal. Now our fight transcended HOA bylaws. It was federal environmental crime. Marlene, joined by former prosecutor Rebecca Cross, coordinated with the EPA and state health officials. Within 48 hours, hazmat units arrived, mobile testing labs rolled in, contaminated wells were sealed, and emergency water hookups were installed. Pete Rodriguez, my infrastructure buddy, mapped every illegal pipe connection with ground-penetrating radar. We documented Baxter's engineering role, Veronica's attempted bribes, $30,000, then $75,000, even $100,000, to buy my silence. On Thursday evening, Veronica marched into the same community center she'd commandeered weeks earlier, flanked by her rent-a-cops, handing out flyers touting a community health initiative. She planned to spin her own crimes as public service. Instead, federal investigators strode through the doors, badges in view, recording cameras rolling. One by one, neighbors stood and recounted fines, harassment, and their children's health scares. Derek Sterling testified under immunity about his aunt's orders. Handcuffs closed around Veronica that night. Charges of environmental conspiracy, fraud, civil rights violations, and her husband Baxter joined her in custody for abuse of public office. 6 months later, I watched snow melt safely on our walkway while Rosalind tends our garden with clean city water. Federal funds covered a $1.3 million cleanup. The Sterling's assets paid for well decommissioning and victim compensation. Baxter got 15 years, Veronica faces up to 12. Derek is studying environmental engineering to fix what his family broke. Neighbors who once feared HOA tyranny now host block barbecues and run the new Clean Water Scholarship for students in public health. Our HOA adopted transparent infrastructure audits, disability accommodations, and regular water testing. Willowbrook thrived on solidarity instead of secrecy. Some battles are worth every frozen step. If you enjoyed this story of hidden corruption, desperate cover-ups, and ultimate justice, please like and subscribe for more. If you'd like more stories like these, please like and subscribe.